Okay, on the issue of raising questions to ministers, right? I think among the younger generation, there's still this culture of fear, where if you pose any controversial questions, you might be, I don't know, blacklisted, or if you pose a controversial question like a CPF, like what I did to DPM Tharman this year, there was a budget debate. So I asked him on whether there's going to be this relaxation of the CPF policy.
You asked him by emailing him?
No, it's a conference.
Okay,
Yeah,
face to face.
Face to face, right. So he gave me this standardized answer that he would usually give to everyone. So he said that, so my question specifically was, if we were to look at the trends from the past, the minimum sum has been increasing over the years. And so I'm worried that when I grow old, it might be raised to this unhealthy level where I have to work to, let's say, 60 plus years old before I can retire to get my CPF savings back. So what he said was, we had to raise the minimum sum to account for cost of living. And I'm like, okay, that's a very politically correct answer. And he also added by saying that the government is doing this for your service. No other governments in this world has done this. So we have to be very, very, we have to be very gracious that the government is doing this. So,
why did that make you concerned about consequences? You said that earlier.
I think a reason why is because many of us have our hopes and dreams in the future. Sometimes we want to do something, and if we are, let's say, we face consequences in the future, we might not get enough opportunities if we are labeled someone who is...
or you kena mark.
Kena mark, something like that.
All right. Say it like kena mark.
And also, it's because I keep getting standardized answers from ministers, right, that I already gave up asking questions.
So there are two things here. One is you're concerned about repercussions. The other thing is you are tired of standard answers.
Yes.
So you don't feel engaged.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Sorry, you had a comment. Yes, please.
I was thinking about these two elements of fear and control, because I think many people, and we have expressed it here, that we are afraid. No, the climate of fear, this thing of the climate of fear is very real. Even now, in this age, I hear friends in the civil service say they are afraid to vote against the PAP. They are afraid their vote is still not secret. Fear in the sense of that whatever you say can be used against you if you're up for a scholarship, you're waiting for a flat, things like that. And then where control is concerned, students in schools, I've talked to them, I've talked to friends who are teachers. This element of control is like insidiously in the system. It's in the classroom where we are taught a certain particular story, and it's only one version of the PAP story. And teachers have to be very careful what they say. And to teach.
No, it's very interesting what you're saying. Perhaps someone can give him the mic. It's very interesting what you're saying because my experience, honestly, has not been the same. I've met people who are actually willing to speak up, especially since we started IQ. I've been very, very heartened, honestly, because I'm meeting teachers. In fact, I had to ask them, are you sure you can come and say you are not going to get in trouble? They said, no, I want to speak up. So I'm actually seeing a lot more people willing to stand up and say their piece, people from all walks of life, right, including the civil service, which is so my own sense, my experience is things are changing, perhaps not fast enough, but things are changing. But it's important that you articulated what you just did, because if it does exist, then I think the government in the next 5 years needs to address this squarely, because this is not the kind of Singapore that we want, right? Yes, you want to say something?
Well, I'd just like to add on to a comment. The reason why I'm not talking so much is because I'm trying to apply for a scholarship. And I'm afraid that if I get marked, I might not get the scholarship. So
maybe after this you will get a scholarship.
But don't you think that's a fair and legitimate issue though? As in, okay, let's put it this way, right? Why should the government give a scholarship to somebody who displays values which are against the present government? No, I mean perfectly serious here, because you can be pro-Singapore, but if they have a particular policy line, as a civil servant, you will be expected to uphold the policy line of the government, right? You don't get to follow the Workers' Party policy line if the PP is in power. And likewise, if Workers' Party gets into power, things change.
I think Indrajit has a very different point of view.
Yeah.
Yes, Indrajit?
Yeah, I think.
No. Why don't you respond to what he said?
Okay.
Let me through. This is a multi-party.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
I do think that that the environment is changing, and it's changing quite fast, and it's going to change even faster moving forward. Given the willingness of some of our current leaders, to listen to alternative views, and the approach that they have taken in, not so much. Some of them do apply the sledgehammer, but many not. So I think as we move forward, we'll see many people willing to come forward. But Tharman himself, got into trouble with the law, and look at him, he became a deputy prime minister. It was not held against him, and he made it. So he was one of the rare ones, but I think moving forward we will see more and more.
No, but how would you respond to Walter's point?
But Tharman's trouble with the law had nothing to do with politics, though. And I think that's where the line is drawn, you see. As in, I think if you question Tharman all day long, you criticize him all day long, as long as your questions are sound, I don't think he has a problem with it, and I don't think the PAP has a problem with it. I think where the line is drawn is if you are veering into what they consider, for better or worse, politics, which means the active attempt to, to basically change the system of government in Singapore.
No, but
that's where I think they draw the line.
in his case, if he was to ask a question about CPF, minimum sum, or retirement sum as it's called these days, and he's asking because, and there's a certain logic in his argument, but it need not be in sync with the government's current thinking. Why should he not be considered for scholarship?
I think he should be considered fully, but I think the risk there, which I think is a very real fear you have, is that it's not that easy sometimes for the person on the other side to tell whether are you a questioner in the sense of being a bright, capable student, or are you a questioner in the sense of Roy Ng, who may have good motives, but also has some other confusing issues bound up with that.
I guess what you're saying is the chances of Amos Yee getting a PSC scholarship not very high.
It's probably gone down a bit.
Gone down a wee bit.
No, I have a problem with the way you formulated your last statement. I'm not sure you intended it to sound like it came out. Okay. You are really saying that the government should not be giving scholarships to those people who disagreed with their party political line. I think that's very dangerous. I think scholarships, if I'm not wrong, it's not given by the party, but given for the civil service.
Yeah, I agree.
And you have to expect that one day another political party will be forming the government. So
I completely agree with that.
So even if the questioner asked very hard questions that appear to reflect the views of an opposing party, it should not be held against that person. Because for all you know, by the time he becomes a civil servant, serving his 6-year bond, it could be the other party in power anyway. I think here we are confusing the difference between the government and the party in power.
No, I think we're making, I think the distinction I want to make is this, right? There should be a difference between the government and the party in power. That doesn't change the fact that at present, the party in power does its best to erase the distinction, and I think we have to live with the reality of that situation, which is why I appreciate your concern. But that is the reality of the situation. Saying what we would like things to be is very different from saying how things are. And I'm saying that how things are is that the government is actually, I think,
but you see,
we
shouldn't be encouraging Singaporeans to resign themselves to the depressing reality of how things are.
Actually, gentlemen, my own sense, and I've actually come across a few individuals who got government scholarships, PSC scholarships, foreign ministry scholarships, and they were extremely strident in the way they criticized government policies at various forums. In fact, I was very pleasantly surprised that PSC actually gave them these scholarships, right? Some SAF scholars that I've met recently, they are highly critical of policies, but the heart's in the right place. And I think, but I think the general point that's coming through here is we need to draw a clear distinction between party and government, and the civil service. And I think that's a signal that the government needs to put across, right? Now that they are government and not so much the party, they're the ruling party in government, the lines between civil service and government and party must be clearly demarcated. Now, on that point, we need to start wrapping up soon, but I'd like to bring up this question. This is one of the issues that have come up in various forums during the elections and before. The question of an unclear line between public sector organizations like the People's Association, right, and the party. This has come up, and I think it has affected and it's bothered a lot of Singaporeans from all walks of life, because I think Singaporeans today are more concerned about fairness, about what is right and what is not right. Okay, so I'm talking about, if there is some truth in what Sylvia Lim highlighted in her rallies, that as soon as Workers' Party took over Aljunied, right, that there was a transfer of 13 locations where gatherings could be taken from the HDB to the PA, you know, and there were various other examples cited. I'm not sure how accurate they are, but if those incidents did happen, where the elected members of parliament were blocked from having gatherings with their constituents, I think something like that is actually fundamentally wrong, right? And Singaporeans are increasingly bothered by that. Similarly, the policy of having those who were not elected, become grassroots advisors, you know, people are also concerned, is that right? Now, if some of these, in the next 5 years, I think the government should address some of these things more squarely.
Well, yes. I think it changed after the last election.
What changed?
In Aljunied, the grassroots advisors were not the candidates, PAP candidates who lost the election. There was a clear distinction between party and PA in Aljunied.
No, but in Aljunied, they still could not.
No, that's another issue. But I'm saying that the losing candidates, PAP candidates, were not appointed advisors of the People Association grassroots organization in the last one. So that was, different from what it was in the past. So there has been some change. So if you go look at Aljunied right now, all the candidates were never advisors to grassroots organizations, and they were separate people.
You mean the PAP candidates who lost?
The PAP candidates lost, and so the grassroots advisors were very senior grassroots leaders who have been around for a long time. So there's a change in that.
Okay.
But I think this issue about PA, I don't think so. It's a major issue among most Singaporeans. Some have expressed their view, but I don't think so. It's a big issue because I'm on the ground. Some do express their view about the separation, but I think many of them accept that as long as we do separate, in essence, politics from PA.
Alex Howe is currently giving you the killer stare. Okay, Alex?
No, I mean, look, if Singaporeans are not giving this matter due weight, they should. Because the ability to draw these lines is fundamental to good governance anywhere, whether it's corporate governance or NGO governance or government governance. To be able to say, I am acting in this capacity and I am trying my best to fulfill my duty to this organization or this body that I am responsible to, that is very important. The blurring of lines, the veiling of what exactly you're doing, in whose interest, is the seed bed for corruption and abuse of power. Whether we are talking about company finances or church finances or government finances. And I think Singaporeans really need to pay serious attention to this this slow slide into the abyss of total confusion of our roles.
But this is where, Alex, you're wrong. I mean, as PAP MP, I've been for a long time. We have a clear distinction of our duties, when politics and grassroots organizations are involved. We are very careful. I think you.
So why are financial powers being given to the CCC chairman?
But those are grassroots leaders. They are not party members.
Who appointed them?
They are
Who
appointed,
elected
They are appointed by the People's Association.
Which is
chaired by,
That's fine. Yeah.
you know.
But we do have that distinction. I think things run very well, and I don't think so. We are ready to destroy this institution.
it suits the PAP very well. Does it suit the country very well?
I think it does. It does suit the country because the MP, being a representative of the government, is able to bring policies.
Do the elected opposition MPs have equal weight within the PA?
They are free to form their own organizations
No,
if they
why?
want.
I mean, this is
Why is it wait a minute? Why is the PA therefore organization?
I want to
that is
repeat
the
this, that in
PAPs?
Aljunied there was a clear distinction.
Only in Aljunied.
Yeah, but where else?
But why are they holding their meet the peace session on the corridor of the void deck?
I do my meet the people session in the white deck too. I do.
One of the exceptions is why you're out now.
I chose to retire.
They did not stop you. You could meet a minister now instead of training them.
You should use the microphone.
I could still train them from outside though.
Please you have to use the microphone. Otherwise, you won't be recorded.
Continue.
I think that's not on.
Yeah.
Sorry, but okay, it's on.
I'm not so sure. Is that on?
Okay,
Yes, it's on. It's on.
Let me continue. Is it fair to the people of Singapore where you have to have 3 coordinators to train young ministers parachuted into parliament for future leaders? If the system is correct, Mr. Singh, you'll be a minister now. But why not? Why can't? Maybe your view clash with theirs, and they don't want you. They allow you to resign. I am very harsh. I'm so sorry.
Okay. A quick response.
Well, I think
A quick response from you before we move on.
Yeah, I had spoken with the Prime Minister in early 2013 that I wanted to spend time on other things. So they did not ask me to leave.
I know, Mr. Singh. But is it fair to the people of Singapore? 3 coordinator, senior ministers, training inexperienced ministers to be leaders.
I think it's a very good point. I would have loved to see.
No, it's not whether you
all
love to see or not.
ministers-
My question is,
all
my concern is, Mr. Singh,
Yeah,
is it fair to the Singapore people?
yeah.
We are voting leaders.
You have to let him answer the question.
I would have loved to see any minister being appointed spend one full term as a member of parliament. Spend time on the ground, get to know the electorate, get to understand issues, and again, subsequent following term, if you get re-elected, that would have been the perfect system.
Exactly.
And whereas thanks to our to be desired planning, we did not bring the people in at the right time, so we ran out of time, and so we had to resign.
Okay, I got to hold it there. We've got a live call coming in. Can we take the call, please? Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, speak up, please.
Hello?
Yes, your name?
Okay, ready, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm Dennis from Woodlands.
Okay.
I have a question. Having a strong mandate, would the government already be willing to put issues such as repeal of 377A to a referendum?
Repeal of 377A to a referendum.
Controversial issues lah.
A controversial
Are we ready now for referendum? Because they already got mandate, ma.
You got what?
Okay.
You got mandate.
Inderjit, I think this question you got to answer first.
No, I think it all depends on the views of the elected members of parliament. If you have a majority that feel that way, they can push for this agenda. So really, it's up to the government that was elected to make that decision.
Did you hear the answer?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think?
I'm wondering, because they already have the referendum, shouldn't they be trusting the people more?
No, but you
And
see,
put issues-
in no
some issues on referendum,
country, I think you would use a referendum so easily or so loosely. Then every policy, every other policy, you be so there must be clear criteria on what policies, what issues you bring to a referendum. So for example, merger with Malaysia, that was a major thing that would affect Singapore for the longest time. That was put to a referendum. So I'm not sure whether 377A would actually qualify for something like that. I'm not sure. I don't think so, you know. So, but
Yeah.
why do you feel it should be a referendum?
I think we can move forward, and if the government really is intent on making us more free, then we repeal a couple of things,
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.